The dude in this video talks about a place he remembers before being forced to incarnate here. Greek columns, a pool of water, deep serenity. I've had visions of a place like this for years, and I have always had the distinct impression that this life was like dreaming in water and that dying would be like waking up and emerging from a pool. The video really spooked me for that reason. Have any of you had similar experiences? Do you know what I'm talking about? Pick very related. I also suspect this world is not actually real, rather it's an interface where I'm being presented with repetitive prompts and other scenarios which will cause my mind, which they cannot read, to generate an output through the dream world, the interface which they can read. Essentially mining my thoughts, ideas, and memories, and slowly sinking spirit into matter. It also wants to convince me that there exists something outside myself, which once you believe this, you are hypnotized by the psychophysical, sensory reality and mind. So there may be a very real risk in sharing anything, depending on what this place actually wants. My pre-birth memory is a white room closing in on me, and it was crushing me, and I wanted to exist so bad and not die when it crushed me, that I moved every single piece of me I could in every direction, all at once, and when I did that, this universe popped up and I basically hopped in. Like I said, it was just stream of consciousness and thrown together. It's long and not that organized, but I think captures what I would say about it. Most of this was created during a period of what amounted to prolonged fairly intense physical pain, isolation, couldn't eat or sleep, without greater torment, so prolonged fasting, visual snow, and so on. Had a lot of odd experiences and perceptions, and pretty much just switched around between worlds, made my own wonderland, and started to erode a lot of the doublethink and passivity I had with prior experiences, dreams, etc. Creating the story described, with my mind so scrambled, it was very hard to think, lot of brain fog, pain perception, but in the midst of all this internal motion and noise you begin to see what it motionless, eternal, and immutable. And that's an aspect of you, or a primordial basis, that seems to know a lot, if not everything about you, past, present and future, is unaffected by the state of your physical body, and if your mind can't do it you can move your eye to its level and use it to think and act instead. Its manner of thought is different, but it works. Creating this and a few other stories pushed my mind to its limits, deconstructed reality and all types of presupposition, got really good at open-eye visualization and so on. Pretty bitter about it because I got burnt out and failed to see it through, but in retrospect a lot of elements, including the beginning and the end which I didn't describe, match the NDE and soul trap concepts pretty closely. Anyway, that context is important. Pick related is the symbols on my arm in the Greco-Roman dome thing dream. Being number 4 was odd given that I'm far more associated with 3 in daily life, but I guess that would be the 4th element, the I inside the 3. And my first memory, vague impression, not really visual, is seemingly birth itself. I was born by cesarean. I remember being suddenly very aware that everything is wrong, they're all doing it wrong. That sensation has never left me. My next memory is the corner where 2 walls and a ceiling meet, so that I'll never forget where I really am. 1 as 3, 3 as 1. Hard to say. No Christian or Trinity related upbringing either, yet this structure was deeply imprinted. It's also what you would see looking down on a tetrahedron from above. Maybe also some sort of 2D hyperdimensional object projection that I'm not aware of. That's about it. Short summary being, I have nothing direct or substantial like some people describe being in a space and planning their lives and communicating with entities. Looking down on Earth. Most of what I experienced, other than the dreams up until 6, are more like shadows or artifacts. Residue of some possible prior or higher knowledge. That's interesting. I've recalled a similar experience since forever, although mine involved more ice and water. I now believe that that is Hyperborea. He's referring to this place. The structure above is the unified code realm. Each container holds a universe. The pure water. CPIC. It's dark matter / dark energy. Light gets injected in, a condensed stream of code, and then Big Bang you have a universe evolving. You saw the loop back drain. That's what your picture is. Think of it as garbage collection. I remember a beach and some Japanese men. We are just kinda on the beach. I know I had fleas because I kept on itching and people around me too. Some of us did not wear shirts. Sometimes, I would wake up after hearing a loud noise from it. Nothing in the dream itself but a really painful feeling. It was not a pleasant dream. I have had it a few times. I forgot to mention I first had this dream when I was 7. I remember another one is where me and the other men are in hall and we are just rummaging around until one guy grabs the other guy's butt to mess with him and one gets angry. I also remember waking up on a beach but speaking a totally different language. It is not Japanese but I am going with other people to go fishing with baskets. The trees are really weird. This dream also used to make me feel sick too. None of us wore shirts but some of us had dried grass crowns. I don't remember the exact sounds of the languages but feelings of them if that makes sense. Nothing can force incarnation to happen. People who claim that are completely clueless. I can freely recall past lives. The more exotic forms of life are next to impossible to conceptualize, like how it feels to be a plant or an elemental. These pre-birth experience hypnosis sessions are fucking spooky, man. I want to experience this for myself but I wouldn't know who to ask. I was born with pre-birth memories. I've used this exact terminology in the past. I've been told I am not the only one, but it was not disclosed to me how many of us there are and how many there have been throughout history. All I was told is of a huge galactic war, how I saw God, and was hypnotized and put to sleep. I'm convinced many of us are here to do something yet to be revealed to us. And what I saw is very similar to the picture. I'll watch the video later, but I saw an enormous and beautiful galactic temple. Filled with sacred geometry. Mind-boggling. The sky was purple and the temples were placed on floating pieces of land. I floated / traveled to one of these temples with my non-physical form, and was greeted by comparatively small beings. They did not utter a word. They were all smiling. They simply projected with their minds what appeared to be lifelike holograms. They projected to me certain people I would meet in this life, and presented me the possible outcomes and struggles I would face. They then took me to another room, and I teleported to another temple. This time, the sky was blue. There was nothing. Absolute bliss and peace. I only saw a gazebo, a white / gray gazebo, and hovering on top of this gazebo was an enormous flower of life. And there was someone there, in that gazebo. A very ancient personality. I do not recall if I ever interacted with him. But the people who disclosed some of this told me the flower was God. It stunned me, because my whole life up until that point that memory puzzled me greatly. As a child, I would try to put it into words for others and they wouldn't understand. As I got older, this fueled a thirst and quest for truth. It is still puzzling, but I am now aware I'm not the only one who's experienced this. I just wonder what it means, and if I will ever return. Because I yearn for that day. Beautiful post, reminds me of pic related for some reason. I really wonder what all of this is. Why we're here, who is waiting for us on the other side. What I can remember is, I woke up in a shore. A beautiful shore. The closest representation I've found is the beach scene from the movie Contact. It was majestic. The water was crystal clear and sparkled. It was a dark night. There was no sun. The sky was painted and filled with stars that glistened. There were palm trees, and as I woke up and stood up, one of the small beings walked up to me. He never uttered a word. My memory is quite foggy, but he took me to the temple. In there, I saw many of them. They never spoke a sentence. They communicated with mere thoughts. I didn't speak either. I saw a table of sorts, with projections of the future. It wasn't set in stone. It was influenced by everyone. It was a very lonesome place despite all of these celestial being here, and it was extremely quiet. But everyone was in reverence. When I say lonesome, I don't mean lonely. I mean solitude. Solitude to them is extremely important. Yes, I do know what you are talking about. Reincarnation is real. I can remember fragments of 3 of my previous lives at this point in time. 1. A white misty heaven where I chose my parents and place of reincarnation. 2. Learning the Dharma from Gautama Siddhartha. 3. Living in a land of snow and death as a proto-human. I believe we're expected to fulfill some sort of divine duty that is yet to be revealed to us. And I think we all intertwine and have shared previous lives together. This isn't my first rodeo, I know that much. Before my own pre-birth memory, I have memory of dying in a hospital bed in Latin America. I was very angry, but I was resurrected in that shore. The rest is history. I don't like this realm, I don't want to come back here. I wouldn't mind spending eternity on the shore. Perhaps we're here to redeem a fallen world, but if this is true, we've got a lot of work to do. I think we're here to destroy this prison matrix, actually. Only way to do this without breaking some sort of galactic commitment is to infiltrate from within. But when I say destroy, I don't mean with violence. I mean with revolution of some kind. Yeah, that's a possibility. I think different people have different reasons to be here. The fact that you and I share this vision of the shore seems to imply we either come from the same place or share a common goal, even if we've forgotten it in part, but I'm sure this isn't the case for everyone. Some surely are prisoners, others were tricked into coming here, others yet might have completely alien goals and reasons for being here. This place is an illusion of some kind, a matrix for sure, but I don't think there's only one narrative. Seems to be a multifaceted agenda. And it's mysterious. Possibly for our own safety. This world is fallen, and from what I gather, we are under some sort of semi-quarantine where we are cut off from communication. An exile of sorts. What do you think of the false light, forced reincarnation, lush harvesting thing as a whole? We are under some sort of semi-quarantine. I'm finding the various testimonies of people who report seeing their true body in a vat or pod of some kind in a higher realm to be quite interesting. Some describe the pods as not inherently malevolent, like we're using them to project here in order to perform a certain mission, others say they're being kept in the pods against their will. I'd rather be on a mission than be a helpless prisoner. But this stuff is really complex. I don't think it's possible, given our current knowledge, to extrapolate any definitive role for us here. We're going to have to wait to find out. It's probably mix of everything, prisoners, tourists, guides, retards who fell for insurance pod scam, beings who just want to create, revolutionaries who want to destroy Matrix and so on. In interview with Alien the Earl said every soul is unique, this is why you will never meet person with same personality ever on this planet. I have memories of moving through dark space and passing by stars and planets. I can't remember any past lives, but I'm pretty sure I came from another world. Earth has been a boring disappointment so far. Worth I sky ever. When I was a kid I dreamed I went to hell as it was called, and it was just a bunch of philosopher types. There were a lot of stonemasonry pillars in that sense too. The sky was starry and night, but everything was well lit. When I was younger I also used to regularly dream about being submerged in pools and whatnot. However, the fluid was like a liquid gold that had a chromatic effect, like a drop of oil on water. Yeah look, I said I've had memories since I was born of this kinda stuff. Used to ask my mom why we went to the desert so much, but she just looked at me like I was confused, as we live in the Midwest, never been to the desert. I did 6 regression sessions with 2 different hypnotists, as well as hypnotizing myself, and saw the same thing every time. I was old. Had red and indigo colored robe on. I was escorted to the top of some kind of pyramid where I was met by 2 metal-like mantis creatures, as well as a very tall snake-looking person wearing a headdress of feathers and beads. As soon as I died, I could see above where I was. There were 3 large pyramid-like structures. 1 massive one and 2 small ones. I've had a few folks in the field of past life studies tell me this is my first life here, and some have even stated I am a part of the supposed 144,000 here to experience. It's all overwhelming and I'm not sure what to believe, but I know these memories were not implanted yet. I don't know why I got away with remembering them. The only image I could find that resembles what I saw while coming here is this one. I saw multiple bridge-like structures coming out of this planet with thousands if not millions walking on them towards a giant light source. There were also pillars and guards with Roman-like armor and spears. I was like 12 or 13 and only getting introduced to the idea of philosophers. After that I researched some stuff because of all the toga-wearing men seemed very interested in teaching me, but there were never words in the dream. It's a super old dream. I'm 34 now, but I do know that afterwards I started looking up Greek philosophers and found 4 I liked: Heraclitus, Anaxagoras, Protagoras, and Pythagoras. All of them had a form of story about the stream of consciousness that I pieced together, in which metempsychosis was the primary demonstration of reincarnation. They all seemed to tell their own version of this story, whether it was via man as the nature of all things or everything flows. It felt like some weird little story that was told specifically to me, so I took it and later dropped my overtly Christian ways to pursue. I then delved into darkness during my late teens before scooping myself out bit by bit through demonolatry and early paganistic ideology before settling on Hermetic alchemy, which just fit. I have a vivid memory of being with my mom as a child. I think it was her, or some maternal or authority figure, in an underground area with black walls, and being told to choose red or orange. I chose orange. I told this to my mom and she asked me what the fuck I was talking about and that this never happened. It wasn't a dream, I'm sure of it. I remember the pool of water and getting to pick a life. But his other details I don't remember. Unfortunately, I don't know of anything else except what I've experienced. I will say that if you look at the drawing I made as a teen, notice the Earth has all those jagged scribbles. That was covering the entire planet like jagged metal spikes and spheres, that looked like chrome, and I even remember traveling even closer to it and it was just like machinery everywhere until I came to this green mound with a child on a swing set. When I was a kid, all I can remember of it was it looked like machinery. Gears and mechanical levers and such. All chrome. Possibly the grid of some kind, yes, which would mean how we currently perceive this world is false, i.e. it would mean the 4chan was right and space is indeed fake, because when I came into view of this planet it was all metal, no water or greenery, etc.
Look at him and tell me there's a God. He made me in his own image.
You should have died at birth.
Like, share, subscribe and be sure to check the notification bell. Follow the Atomic Shaman on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Listen to Paranormal Greentext stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube. Catch the live streams of Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge only on Rumble.